What's happening? Welcome to Midnight Entertainment, official X Midnight here, and right now we are playing some Borderlands 3. In this video we're going to go through a full explanation for a brand new build for Mo's post June 24th update, which we're calling the Cub Legionnaire. Cheesy, I know, but bear with me. On this video's upload today, you will also see the build in a little more detail on our Discord, and if you like what you see, give this video a quick like, it would mean the absolute world to us. Subscribe for more and check out some more on what we do in the description below. So, after spending some time with different action skill variations and anointments, we've discovered a pretty unique build in which we'll be using the Iron Cub, along with some other key connections with the shield, the class mod and the artifact. This build is focusing on shield and ammo regen, so instead of the usual glass cannon, we've buffed survivability to an insane degree, whilst keeping those consistent damage numbers that Mo's is known for. First off, we're going to go through Mo's skills. Starting off with the green tree, along with as much gun damage as physically possible, we also wanted to build all the way down into Forge, which was one of our 4 core ideas before we went into actually building this, and that is our ammo regen. Because we use a few weapons that are hungry in ammo, we needed as much of that regen as possible. So we definitely wanted Cloud of Lead, so there's the full 5 points on that. That provides us with a handy 11.25% incendiary damage. To further that, we also wanted Stoke the Embers for additional incendiary. Our 1 point on redistribution is more or less at the core of the build, as mentioned before, providing health and ammo regen on critical hits. We also use max on Scrappy, that's where we have some more core gun damage. We have 1 point on Russian Offensive, which not only benefits our movement, being able to sprint and shoot at the same time, but it also procs against our shield regen through lifesteal. Scorching RPMs obviously needed all 5, that gives us some Iron Cub damage, some more crit damage, and of course fire rate. Specialist Bear also works with Iron Cub, and because it automatically dual wields the weapon on your other action slot, we can slap an extra 60% damage on the Cub. The points on Click Click and the Iron Bank were just used solely to build into Forge, and then of course the 1 point on Forge where a majority of the ammo regen lives. This is where we build on Mo's herself, and this is where a majority of her big damage numbers lie. Fire in the Skag Den gets all 5 points, and this still remains a mainstay with pretty much any decent Mo's build, and for very good reason. This is an extra 15% incendiary damage. On our previous build, we were also using Grizzled, but there really isn't any point, especially when building all the way down into the same tree, as we get our cooldown rate increase through dealing splash damage anyway, and we don't want to deal with the diminishing returns either. So those leftover points more or less helped in building further into the green and orange trees. Means of Destruction and Stainless Steel Bear both get maxed out. This is where we get some more of that ammo regen, including some handy grenade regen. This also includes a hefty buff to our Iron Cub with more damage and survivability with armor. Pull the Holy Pin also allows a pretty substantial increase to critical hit chance, which, if we remember from the green tree, this perfectly pairs with redistribution, triggering ammo and health regen even more. Coming down more into the blue tree, Vampire is one of the cores to the build and will always be a mainstay. We do use a grenade that procs us perfectly, so this is where we consistently heal by throwing grenades, which also regenerates through Means of Destruction. To the Last also gets a point, although you don't necessarily need this, you can put this point anywhere you want. I just like to be able to create as much damage as I can if I go into Fight for Your Life. Explosive Punctuation is what I was talking about with Grizzled before. This is our biggest cooldown rate increase at 40% with all 5 points. And of course, with that we can put our final point into Short Fuse. Now into the orange tree, starting from the top. Armoured Infantry has a +5 that gives us that extra gun damage goodness and some survivability with pure damage reduction. Drowning in Brass is a brilliant skill that gives us a max of 3 stacks of gun damage on kills. Then we have 1 point on Full Can of Whip-Ass for some extra benefits for that shield. And of course 1 point on Experimental Munitions, which gives us even more incendiary damage on critical hits. That obviously fits perfectly with Pull the Holy Pin from the blue tree. We didn't need to put too much into the orange tree because we do have a class mod that has most of its points on Phalanx Doctrine, which is the foundation for the build, so I would recommend that if you want to dive into building this, try and farm a class mod that benefits Phalanx Doctrine over anything else. I would have liked to see Phalanx on a +5, but we've just had to settle with a +4 with +1 on desperate measures for the moment. Having those points on that did allow us to shift points elsewhere into the green tree so we could reach that forge skill. And then finally just the 3 points on Big Surplus in the purple tree to benefit bonus incendiary, which totals 15% of our current weapon damage, the base of every decent Moz build once again. Now onto our weapons and gear. First up, we are using the infamous Fasterfied Tizzy. This gun needs no introduction, it is by far the best pistol in the game, and is made even better on Moz with our inherent splash damage. This gun fires with no magazine and instead operates on heat, and the longer you fire this gun, the faster it shoots, and because of our action skill active anointment, that creates unbelievable damage when we have Iron Cub. It triggers Moz's splash and incendiary bonuses extremely well. It's just an all-round for the build to put out consistent damage. You can get this exclusively from the Arms Race DLC with its own dedicated red chest, and can also drop from the Harker boss. Next, we are using the superconducting plasma coil. This also needs no introduction. It is the best SMG in the game. This one in particular isn't even the max damage variant, and it still annihilates. Much like the Tizzy, it triggers Moz's splash damage. This gun is burst fire, and if it was full auto, it would be broken. Our consecutive hits anointment also stacks our damage to a max of 100%. It is a mammoth of a weapon. You can also get this exclusively from the Arms Race DLC with its own red chest. Next, we use the Trained Soul Render, packing the full automatic variant, which I would recommend over any other. This gun can proc splash damage skulls, and honestly, these skulls make this weapon what it is. It just churns through enemies like nothing else. We also have the consecutive hits anointment on this one as well, just to stack that damage even more, since it is the full auto variant. You can get this from Tom and Jam from Heart's Desire in Xylorgos. And lastly, for our weapons, we are using the Pestilent Swift Backburner. I haven't seen much people use launchers like these in their final builds, and honestly, I don't understand why. We used to have the Plague Bearer on our build, but the Backburner has a couple of benefits over that. Namely, the orbs travel much faster and is more or less suited towards stationary or slow moving targets, and can deal with bosses much like any other regular mob. It has massive area damage and huge upside potential with crowd control, and the Iron Cub anointment makes this even better. You can get this from the Agonizer 9000 and Guts of Carnivora on Pandora. As an alternative to the plasma coil, I would recommend the Apt Flipper. This is the cryo-corrosive variant. The Apt Flipper has the anoint. When Iron Cub is active, weapon damage is increased by 150%. In total, we can climb this particular flipper up to a max of around 250% weapon and stats effect damage when you use Iron Cub. You can get the flipper at an increased drop rate from the Minosaur in Blood Sun Canyon and the Bounty of Blood DLC. Another alternative I can recommend is the high capacity Vigilant Sandhawk. We like to use the corrosive variant on this one, but it does not need to be corrosive. You can opt out for the incendiary or shock variants to deal with certain enemies. This one has the same anoint as the Apt Flipper with the 150% weapon damage bonus on Iron Cub. You can get this at an increased drop rate from Katagawa Jr. and Atlas HQ within the Handsome Jackpot DLC. There's also tons of other alternatives that I can also recommend. You have the Light Show, the Unkempt Harold, you have the Lethal Chaosin, you have the Kibsworth that you can also use versus the Plasma Coil, you have the Crater's EMP5, you have the Monarch, preferably the ×8 variant. We do have the ×4 variant here at the moment, but that's just because it has a little more damage, and the anointment is perfect for this build. But yeah, that's plenty of alternatives for Moz, definitely to take advantage of our splash damage. Now onto our gear. This is where the last two of our core ideas for the build remain. We do use the Super Soldier Shield, and with the previous patch where you could exploit the movement speed and fire rate to insane proportions, I do actually find this shield much easier to manage now. It puts more use into our ammo and shield regen. This also has a required anoint for the build, and that is to handle our cooldown rate for Iron Cub by adding 50% on action skill end for 12 seconds. This allows us to grab an increased rate of fire and ammo regen, and also gives us an immunity barrier on shield full. This effect does also have a small cooldown, but it's hardly noticeable. It's somewhere around 5 to 10 seconds. The only way to get this shield is to buy it from your vault card at a cost of 5 basic vault keys. If you got this shield before the level cap update, do not worry, you can actually re-roll this by spending an additional 5 keys to get it up to that level 72. Next up is our class mod, and this is the last of our 4 core build mainstays, and we have chosen the Bloodletter class mod, which not only massively increases shield delay, but it also shifts all of our healing sources into shields instead of health. So with the idea behind using the Super Soldier shield during combat, you can proc your vampire skill to consistently heal your shields with your grenades, which allows us to consistently take advantage of the protective barrier, fire rate and ammo regen bonuses. Also, this allows us to take full advantage of the Phalanx Doctrine skill, which provides us with stacking weapon damage and shield max capacity as a kill skill. You'll see how this operates in our Maliwan Takedown test later in this video, where the shield capacity can go up to around 300 to 400,000, along with up to 80 to 100% weapon damage for a short time. I have this at +4 on this particular variant, although I would have technically preferred all 5 points of this to go into Phalanx as mentioned before, so if you have that, it will be even more advantageous for you. You can actually get this class mod as a base game world drop, but you can also farm it with an increased drop rate from the Skag of Survival during the Trial of Survival event on the Gradient of Dawn. Next we have our grenade mod, which is pretty much a MOS specific grenade, the Cloning Maddening Tracker. This particular mod can proc our vampire skill at a much higher rate than any other mod because it splits into 2 grenades, and those 2 grenades further split into 3 other grenades, all of which can home in on your enemy. This one has the preferred annoying on grenade thrown, 25% weapon, grenade and action skill damage for 6 seconds. Sadly, this does not stack, so when you're using this, you wait until all of your grenades from your previous throw have exploded, and you can start again to keep that damage bonus going. This is one of the rarest mods to get and can only really farm it from vending machines. I would recommend heading over to Necra to Fail, grab yourself a vehicle and go around the edges of the largest area on the map for each vending machine. I do believe you can farm between 4 and 5 vending machines per run. And last but not least, we have our preferred artifact, which is the magazine size Pearl. This slot has had some changes. Before we were using the company man artifacts, but on this build we like to use a wide variation of manufacturers, and the amount of damage that the Pearl can create is honestly the absolute best for the weapons that we use. It stacks a hefty 105% overall weapon damage on consecutive hits, which means any weapon that we have with a consecutive hits anointment can go up to a max potential of 205% weapon damage. God damn! You can get this on any one character on their first and only playthrough on the Guns, Love and Tentacles DLC from Claptrap and Xylorgos. So that is it from me for just now. That is the Cub Legionnaire build in its entirety. We've spent quite a bit of time polishing off the build over the past couple of weeks or so. So if you guys want to try this out, more details can be seen on our Discord. But right now I'll pass you on to our Maliwan Takedown test. Hope you liked the video. You can keep checking our channel as we will be posting way more on Borderlands in the very near future. Thank you again. Peace!
Intel says there's an elevator down to the lower levels. Make your way there and be ready for some heavy resistance. I'm counting on you, Vault Hunter.
Picked the wrong fight. Who's gone? You think I need iron cuffs to kill you? scrub. Wait, I lost count. No, you can't do this to me. Anybody counting?
specs, but we're after something bigger. Keep going.
I'm thinking I'm back. Make Mama proud. Racking 'em up. Guess they couldn't hack it. Hell yeah! Murderized!